that example that you give of people always talking about themselves and here's what we do and here's the way we approach the world and everyone else is evil is when companies suffer from what I like to call axis displacement disorder. And that's where the person doing the selling believes that somehow the axis of the earth has shifted and now the world revolves around them. And it doesn't. In fact, if anything, the world revolves around our client. So one of the things in researching how executives make and approve decisions, one of the things that we did is we run people through an exercise. And I've done this exercise with over 10,000 executives around the world, from companies ranging from, relatively small startups under $1 million in revenue to multi-billion-dollar multinationals, virtually everywhere on the planet except for the continent of Africa, and we haven't gone anywhere in the Antarctic. So outside of that, I got you covered. Mm-hmm. And we ask people, well, let's say someone on your team comes to you and wants to spend money on this thing. And call it a Gazettenblatt. It doesn't matter what it's called. And they say, we're going to spend $20,000. It takes 45 days for the vendor to implement it, requires no resources whatsoever on our part, and they give us a 10-year guarantee. The challenge I give people is, what are the 5 questions you would have to have answered to be comfortable making an informed decision to either approve or deny that request? And I let people work in teams to come up with their list of 5, then they narrow it down to their top 3. And they ask the same 3 questions everywhere, no matter the size of the company, no matter where they are geographically. And the 3 questions come down to this. The first one is, what problem does this solve? So think about it. You're going to spend money. Well, in essence, what problems does it solve? Which is immediately followed by the second question of, why do we need it? Which is, what happens if we don't solve that issue? Meaning, what's the problem? And then what's the consequence of not solving that problem? And then the third question is, what's the likely result or outcome if we make this investment? Well, and by the way, the distant fourth in all this is, what are the alternatives? And the reason why it's a distant fourth is that if you answer those first 3 questions well, the fourth one becomes implied. So the vendor who you're in total sync with about what problem they're trying to solve for you and why you need their help, who happens to also be the same vendor who delivers the best, most likely outcome for you, that's your vendor. That's the one you pick. Mm-hmm. So if we know that that's how people make decisions, what problems it solve, why do we need it, what's the likely outcome or result, then what the heck are we doing by leading with, here's what we do as a company and here's how our widget works? And it's not aligned with how people make decisions. So instead, what do we lead with? Well, our clients come to us when they're facing these types of problems that have these types of consequences. For the right organizations, we deliver this specific type of outcome. And now I need to disarm the notion that I'm just there to sell something. So I say, but the way we approach that isn't the right fit for everybody. I don't yet know whether or not we can help you. But if those are issues you're facing, I'm happy to learn more to see whether or not we might be able to help. And that structure is what we call the same side pitch. It's in chapter 4 of the book. If you Google same side pitch, you can probably find excerpts of this for free. If you don't want to get the book, it doesn't matter. It's just more, if people have the book, they know where to find it in the book. So the idea is that the same side pitch follows this construct of entice, disarm, and discover. So first we entice by sharing problems that we solve with dramatic or extraordinary results. We then disarm the notion that we're just there to sell something. And then we trigger a discovery phase to learn more about their situation to see whether or not we might be able to help.